Alright, so hi everybody, I'm Michiel and I've been experimenting lately and it's a lot of fun. That's one thing I want to say. And it's like a completely new way actually of investigating life that I'm really enjoying. So one metaphor I've used lately is like metaphor of watching TV. And then the way that I use that is that maybe there are 40 channels in your life that are all about beliefs and the way you see the world from your principles. So then, if you're just onto those, you don't have much choice, except maybe like 30 other channels that are input from the people that are around you. But again, it's just in that sort of mainstream way, it's just information coming at you. And really, the question arises, where's the choice? I got like 70 channels to zap between, and 40 are beliefs and 30 are input from people around me. And, I actually, it kind of feels like a rerun. So then some people start looking for other channels and maybe they find a way to tap into a new way to live actually. Maybe they find like a peace channel, they start like slowing down a little, becoming more peaceful. Or they find a expansion channel when they start meditating. Or maybe they find a silence channel from going on silent retreats, or they start reading the scriptures. They find like a wisdom channel. So there are like more kind of channels that one could think of. Like maybe there's even a Vipassana channel, or I don't know, an embodiment channel, or anyway, there's a lot around. But there's also one more channel that I have found really important, and that's a channel that's about creativity. So when we discover these new channels, it's kind of like such a contrast from the old way of living. It's just like we've shifted 180 degrees, and we're just looking at newness. And then there's a mechanism that I've been experimenting with that can actually become a little addictive. Because who would like to go back to these 70 old channels, which are your beliefs and the people around you, when you can be in an expensive space, for example. And even if you just tap into that wisdom channel, then you can just say, oh, my beliefs are just an illusion, so why should I even bother? And then what I've actually found is that sort of that way of withdrawing, and it's just after some time I saw that it's just a poor way to live actually. And there's much more richness to find, but it's not in addiction. It's not in being a sort of addicted to either all those old channels or to just those new ones. So actually what we found with experimenting is that one key is just to use that creativity and apply it to our old stories, just so that we can play and take these stories lighter and start playing them and dancing with them. Where can we find a different story that's more friendly to ourselves. So in a way, we make these all channels interactive. It's like interactive TV instead of just one-way traffic. Or maybe it's like the internet, where you can like chat with each other. You can just talk back and communicate. Because that's another important aspect that I want to say. Because we can, if we're in that old beliefs, it's very hard to communicate with people around us. And actually, with creativity, we can sort of open doorways in ourselves that weren't available before, so that communication becomes much easier.
I'd love to hear what the experiment is for you.
Yeah, sure. It's just a continuing exploration. Well, I had like some intentions. I think one was like having fun, and other one was trusting myself, and I've had a lot of fun, and I'm trusting myself. So that all worked out for sure. And then a lot of it is being in a, well, I could just say being in the gap, but it's not like, then the way I'm seeing that is that but maybe it's totally different from the way Richard uses the gap, but it's like, for me it can be different for everybody. It's just being in a place where I'm creative, and that's what the experiment's bringing for me a lot, because I'm just having so many new ideas, and then I'm writing, and then when I'm writing, I'm also finding ways to see my own stories in a new light. And that just comes about through being with you all, you know, and it's great. It's given me so much inspiration. So that's what I've been playing with, and you know, some of these new ideas were about these channels, what I said, and I feel like I found a channel that's really creative and really peaceful even, and I'm just using that to look at my own life, you know, and using it to look at the way I'm meeting different things, different areas. And it seems like when I'm meeting more of my life, then that makes me even more creative and peaceful, I guess.
You know, we might ask, what does it give us to live in openness? This open, which is just very easily defined. It's not any mystical openness. It's just less contraction. And maybe what it does is it gives us the courage to take a chance and to then allow the consequences. And then that's what creativity really is. The courage to take a chance. do something I haven't done before. And then if I get into trouble, try to figure out how I'm going to get out.
So there's a level of trust, I think, that comes there, right? That you can handle whatever comes.
That's a real important point, is to just take it one step at a time. Because when I say nothing here is heroic, we're not going to jump in the lake. So then that trust is built, right? And then, of course, those are like baby steps maybe that we're willing to take, right? And then maybe something will happen like a hurricane or an accident or something, and we'll find out we got more trust in ourselves than we never dreamed. But, yeah, you can find that out too. But for now, we're just saying, okay, well, when we talk about the power of the word, we just say go to something, some area in your life, discover some area that is working good, and then just expand upon that and acknowledge it. And very simple steps. You know, we're not trying to make heroes out of anyone or trying to put anyone in a big emergency. We're trying to caution you not to go toward an emergency.
Yeah, for me it seems to have to do with trust too. Like just trusting that what comes out is appropriate for the moment or something.
Yeah, it's a combination of, well, trust is like a willingness to take a chance and then to allow the consequences. You could say trusting is that I've narrowed that down, that so far it's always worked. So I have a very positive outlook on it.
Right.
And then, of course, someone else will say, no, nothing works for me. And then what do? We just tell them, well, start smaller.
Yeah, in a way, you know, trust is where you're not, where your perception's not filtered with beliefs and stuff. So, I guess with the first step, maybe you'll meet a lot of beliefs also, and then you take another step, you get a little more confident about what you can, about how that situation impacts you. So then it's just little steps, and you'll meet your beliefs more easily and more likely. So then trust is built.
By doing a few small new things frequently, I guess trust builds, right?
Yeah. Then you'll see where your challenges are in that area, right? But if you take a really big step, maybe you'll get a lot of challenges in one time, and then it's harder to meet them all. Like if I take a trip to the North Pole right now, I'd meet a lot of challenges. So I could say like, okay, I'll just start going through the skiing hole or something. That'd be a challenge by itself because I never skied. So.
No?
No. When some information comes at you, you can check that information for yourself. And it's all about the way they use words. Like, I was even looking at the word gap, right? Did you see that thread?
I think I did, yes. Yes, I did.
Yeah, so I was looking at the word gap, like is there something in there that can look like an achievement or something? So that's an example of just looking at information that comes at me, and then I'm checking like, hey, does this information, is it like beneficial, or does it lead me to being in sort of a mode of having to achieve? So then, in that way, right, you can check uh, every information or teaching that comes at you and see if there are words in there that actually lead you away from yourself, right, to sort of a closeness. And so at first that takes some looking, some investigating, but at some point it becomes sort of more natural, I guess. You just say, look at something, some word, and will be like obvious that something is off there.
So is it like a personal thing? Like each person has a word that turns them off? Like maybe God for some people is like, I don't want to go there, or is it something like that where you
Yeah,
feel?
that could be. Because okay, I used the gap as an example, right? Because I noticed that for some people the gap was like a pure creative space and not an achievement at all. And then for others, it kind of looked a little bit like a big task. So then that could be that could depend on like yourself. So it's the same with things like things like presence, right? Some people hear presence and then they think, okay, I gotta be in presence, like, um, and not care about other areas of my life. And for others, they're thinking, oh, presence, okay, it means being present to areas in my life, right? So it's like, so with being sort of alert to how words impact you, they can really help to play with that information in a different way. That's what I'm suggesting,
Yeah.
right? So then you're just checking like how am I perceiving that word and what implications does it have?
It may be helpful to see that trigger coming because of the collective unconscious kind of triggers something in you, and you have no uh, if there isn't a term that you can use for it, then it doesn't exist, right?
Yeah, and then you can look like if you have that term, like, and then you can start looking like uh, which part of that, which part of those things that go with that word are like useful, and which ones can I throw out. For example, you can look at collective unconscious. Do you really need that idea of other people to find these triggers? I'm just taking one example, and everyone can then, of course, answer that for themselves, because it's like it's a self investigation.
Yeah.
And then there are obvious ones too, right? Like, okay, I'll throw one at you. Like, we're going to a golden age.
Yeah.
Like, if you're thinking about it a lot, where will that lead you?
Yeah. No, I just that's like I don't know what's going to happen after we die. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But in the now, what happens, like what you experience, what comes up, I guess that also can be taken lightly. Like the whole experiment is to take that whole thing, whatever comes up, lightly, right?
Yeah, for sure. How about I just want to talk to people that are on my frequency, that's very high.
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
people give you that information.
yeah.
They say, and then what are the implications of that, right? If you're just gonna talk to people that feel good to you.
It's an attraction to talk to someone that kind of gets what you're talking about, and maybe more difficult to talk to someone that's not quite understanding what you're saying, or like totally removed from what you're saying.
Right. So what if someone had a challenge for you that, would bring you benefit from looking at that challenge, but it wouldn't feel good the first time?
No, I think it's I mean, that's a belief, right? The whole thing about someone being
Yeah.
the same wavelength is a way of looking at another person with a prejudgment, which of course is going to close you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I could even take it lightly. Like maybe it does happen sometimes that we're on the same wavelength, but I don't have to use it as a requirement then, right?
No.
I can just and then it's the same with all these things, I guess. I mean, my life could improve, or and then a better time would come, but I don't have to keep running that or something,
Yeah, yeah.
or use it as a way to feel better. So that's what I'm talking about. It's just really, really looking in a detailed way, right?
Yeah.
Because on the surface, these sort of pointers look useful sometimes, but then when you dig deeper, right, there's a lot of beliefs underneath those.
Mm. That's true.
So
Actually,
I
talking to
think this is
somebody
a
that
really
doesn't
interesting.
understand you is a lot more valuable than talking to someone that understands you. I'll say
That's
that again. Talking to someone that does not understand you is a lot more valuable because you have to back down, you have to back off a couple of steps and rebuild the foundation. And so then you get to relook at all your assumptions. When you speak to someone that you're in agreement with, you're just blabbing a bunch of assumptions and building from there. And what can you build on quicksand? But nothing. More quicksand. It's really valuable to talk. I love talking to people that don't understand me whatsoever. And I kind of I'm really bored talking to people that think they understand everything.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. That's just like 180 degrees, right? And then you could, like, if people that are just looking on the surface, you could make them believe both. You could just sell you could sell both if you're a good salesman. If they're not looking, like, what are these words actually doing to me? If I'm just taking them in.
We really love people because we want them to be totally solid on their own 2 feet. No, we're not selling any hocus pocus.
No, it's really, really good stuff.
Yeah. And then all the mystery in the world can come in, We're not trying to deny anybody's energy experiences and all that stuff. But we're saying when you get it, keep your life in balance.
Yeah.
And don't start denying this part and that part and say, so many people have told me, well, after my spiritual experiences, I've dedicated my whole life. I'm going to be enlightened no matter what, Which means, like, they're going to be very, very dysfunctional, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to, the society is going to be their enemy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're out of balance.
Hmm.
By definition. It's only their definition that says this and not that. And it's the craziest thing because they're saying like, when I was in my spiritual experience, I knew there was oneness. I was one with everything, you know. But I'm not one with my thoughts. I'm not one with my body. I'm not one with my family. I separate from those things. I'm just the awareness.
I don't know.
You know, I'm the listener. That's all I am. All those other ones, woof, throw them out.
I don't know if it's like that for everybody, right? But for me, it was like a rebellion. Like, okay, I didn't like certain things that were happening in my life, so I was saying, okay, I'm just gonna withdraw. And I had a sophisticated way to withdraw, which was just going to awareness, focusing on that. But in a way, I think it was kind of rebellious, kind of teenager-like or something like that. So then, kind of a puberty-like thing. So I don't know if it's for others, if it's the same for others that are doing that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be.
Which you mean withdrawing into awareness or meditation or whatever it is?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like rebelling against life in sort of a more sophisticated way. At least that's what it was like for me, I guess.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know how to play with that stack of beliefs, then it's not so much fun sometimes.
No.
To meet all these areas.
But it's also, I think, for a lot of people, safer to stay with the stack of beliefs. Because
For sure.
Because it means changing everything that has made them who they are or what they think they are. So it's kind of a complex whole bunch of ideas that come in there. Right?
It's also created all their friendships.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some investment, right?
It might be held as superiority.
A feeling of superiority about who they are and what they know.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole group. There's a whole study about spiral dynamics and evolutionary. You know, and I'm up to red now or green or something. I'm a greenie.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just a blue. But I accept you because you're not a red.
Okay. The groupism that comes into that, right?
Yeah.
Elitism. Yeah, there's a whole another dynamic that comes in there.
Well, there's the risk of it for sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's in the words. It's built in the words. So then it's there even when you deny it or when you kind of don't emphasize it.
Yeah.
Words are so fantastic, you know, because like you can see when you see the words, you know what's in there, right? Because people get upset with me and they say, well, how do you know me? You don't know me. Of course I do. I listened to 2 words you said and that's enough. Okay, that's about others, you know, but more important is to listen to your own words, right?
There's a whole group of people living in that sort of perception where they're fooling themselves. So then maybe it even feels counterintuitive to go against that in the beginning. And then at some point you're like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, we can even say that we're all fooling ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to say that, oh, well, they're fooling themselves.
Yeah.
We're all fooling
Yeah,
ourselves.
sure.
Yeah, somehow
yeah.
there's an acceleration going on, right? There's some kind of an acceleration where we don't fool ourselves for that long.
Yeah.
And then we fool ourselves about the next thing, right?
Yeah.
There is an acceleration, and somehow that perception of, I don't know whether we think we're getting somewhere, but it's just kind of like an ease. It's an easing.
Anyway, I like that we're all fooling ourselves in a way.
Yeah.
We're all having words. Yeah. So then we're all equal, right?
Yeah.
I think that's.
Yeah, we're taking it lightly, especially taking ourselves lightly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you join the group by becoming another group, right?
Yeah. We're all one group.
We're all one group.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, you know, and I really said what I wanted to say.